You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
An enormous pleasure to welcome in one of the all-time Springbok greats, Naas Botha.
But it's right once again to Botha. There was no room there. That was brilliant vision by Botha. A drop goal at depth and it's through. An extraordinary drop goal by the South African captain.
Naas, thank you for joining us. How are you feeling, first of all, about South Africa's chances of defending the World Cup on Saturday night and winning their fourth World Cup in 8 attempts?
I gather I am feeling the same as all of New Zealand feeling about the All Blacks. You guys believe that it's your turn to beat South Africa in a final, and I believe it's our turn to beat you guys again in a final. And so we just need to make sure that you do understand that in 95 we did beat you guys, seeing that you guys went into that final as favourites. And to be honest, I think again you're going because the last couple of games the All Blacks really played well. You have to compliment them. South Africa struggled through their last 2 games. So I gather that if you ask me what's our chance of winning, I must be honest, I, as a South African, believe as good as the chances for New Zealand to win it. But, we've seen in the past that history doesn't matter. Whatever happened 7 weeks ago when we actually beat you guys 35-7, that even doesn't matter. It's all about what's going to happen on Saturday night. And I can tell you one thing, is I am looking forward to it because it's a good New Zealand side going to play, hopefully, against a great South African side.
Oh, we're looking forward to it as well, Naas. We just can't wait for kickoff to arrive. Let's look back a week. What did you make of the Springboks' performance in the semi-final win? They got the job done eventually against England. What did you make of the performance?
No, we didn't play well at all. You have to give England credit. They really played well. They put South Africa under tremendous pressure. They won the kicking game. They won the line-out. They did extremely well in the scrums. That was a little bit of a surprise for me because I thought that's where we will get the edge again, but we didn't for at least about 70 minutes, and then we suddenly got the edge. And I think, Jason, what's quite interesting is that, we all talk about the bomb squad and how well the bomb squad's doing and how well they play. When we played you guys down in New Zealand, you really actually managed to, to eliminate the bomb squad of South Africa. And if you think back, firstly, the game against France, I thought Galtier got his reserves wrong because they played well against South Africa, but I thought he just changed too many of his good players too early in the game. And to be honest, the same happened with England. They just absolutely got it wrong. They scrum did extremely well until they started putting on replacements, and then it just didn't work for them.
So, Naas, if we look ahead to this Rugby World Cup final, as you say, the All Blacks were well beaten by South Africa at Twickenham a couple of months ago, 35-7. But then at Mount Smart Stadium earlier in the year, the All Blacks ran out reasonably comprehensive winners over the Springboks. So how do we even start to possibly predict how this Rugby World Cup final is going to go?
Jason, this is one game where any prediction is going to make somebody look extremely stupid. Because, the 35-7, you could see that New Zealand went into the World Cup a little bit uncertain about what and where are they actually. But throughout the World Cup, they started playing extremely well. You take your back line. Bowden Barrett had a fantastic game on the weekend. Mwanga really played a great game. Savia started to play well. Your front row started to play well. So I think the psychological hammering they took at that 35-7 throughout the World Cup it looks like they managed to overcome that. So we can't even go there and say we have the edge on the All Blacks, because during the World Cup, the All Blacks started to really play well, and South Africa, we had two extremely tough games against France and against England. But we've seen in the past, there is absolutely no South African side or All Black side that you can just write off and say, okay, there's nothing going to, the one team is really the favorite. What is going to, happen on the weekend is again the same. Is who's going to take the slight advantage up front. I'm a little bit more wary of your backline than the South African backline. I think we have individuals that's absolutely brilliant in the backline, but as a unit, I have one or two question marks in the midfield. Can they apply their play to bring the back three into the game? Where we've seen with the All Blacks, their midfield is an extremely strong point. I think goal kicking at the moment is on both sides. It's not even a talking point. It's just absolutely brilliant. Your two guys on the side, your two wingers, they can actually create something, but South Africa can also create something from nothing. That's where Colby and Orange are absolutely brilliant. They do create something out of nothing. So it's an extremely difficult one. And I think it's going to, again, start in the scrum, because you've seen and I've seen, whoever is going back in the scrum is getting penalized because the laws allow that at the moment. I think they might revisit those laws after the World Cup. So whoever is going to take the tendency in the scrums, I think actually might just walk away. But the thing is, New Zealand backline can create something special from inside their own 22, where we need a little bit more the kicking game to get outside our own 22. So that's two different styles, put it that way, two different styles. But I would think that anybody that thinks somebody goes into this game as a favorite must be absolutely crazy. It's a call that nobody can make. It's going to be on the night. This is one game that on the night, hopefully Barnes will keep his whistle extremely quiet and let the guys play. And I must compliment the referees, especially in the playoffs, where they started keeping the yellow and red cards in their pockets. And instead of for every silly rugby collision, started dishing out yellow cards, and some yellow cards turned into red cards. So we have to compliment them. But, you know what happened in 2007 when Barnes did your game against France. So we know they can make mistakes, but I don't think he will go onto the field and absolutely just perform at his best and let the two teams actually decide who's the best on the night.
Wow, Naas, what an incredible articulation of all different parts of this game. I feel like we've got a great summation of how it might play out. I guess we wait and see. It is, of course, as we all know, a repeat of the 1995 Rugby World Cup Final, Ellis Park, Johannesburg. It's still burnt into our brains over here. What are your most vivid memories of that day 28 years on?
You know, the most amazing thing about that day was Lomo had the most amazing game against England. And I still till today believe that if New Zealand inside players did the hard work, but really the hard work, and created more space for Lomo to be a one-on-one situation, I still think that it could have been totally a different game for New Zealand. What I felt is because of the game he had against England, the mentality was a little bit there that give the ball to Lomo, he will score. And you know, and I know in the history of New Zealand, South Africa, he never scored against South Africa. Amazingly, you know, that's a stat that nobody can believe. It's actually amazing. And then if you take it, Mertens had an absolute fantastic World Cup, missing a drop kick from the 22, very close to right in front. If that was over, it would have also been a different ball game. But, you know, and I've said it and I will say it again, it's one of those days where there was a little bit of magic from somewhere else that gave South Africa actually that win. You know, there's more to that win than rugby. And I think we all understand that and we all agree on that point.
Yeah, absolutely we do. And if we can just go back from that day, 14 years, to when you were wearing the Springboks number 10, I was actually at Athletic Park, Naas, as a 10-year-old boy to watch you kicking 20 points against the All Blacks in a 24-12 victory in 1981. Was that one of your favourite rugby days?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, the whole tour, to be honest, I know it was a difficult one. A lot of people really don't want to talk about it, but, you know, when I really got going in rugby as such, there was two things that I've always wanted to do as a rugby player. I wanted to play against the British and Irish Lions, and I was extremely fortunate to do that in 1980. And then I wanted to play the All Blacks in New Zealand, and I was extremely fortunate to do that also. I was really privileged to play New Zealand in New Zealand because I believe a rugby player can't talk about anything if he hasn't played New Zealand in New Zealand. And now I was very fortunate to do that. So that's the way I look at my whole career. That's the one thing I've always wanted to do, and I did that.
No, so it's been, as always, an extraordinary pleasure and privilege to speak to you on the eve of such an auspicious occasion, the Rugby World Cup Final. On behalf of everybody over here, we wish you and your countrymen all the best in this Rugby World Cup Final. Let's hope for a cracking match at Stade de France on Saturday night.
No, and I wish you all the best of the luck. And let's just be, I think, let's shake hands on let rugby win on Saturday night.
That's not a bad way to finish it. Naas, I'd shake hands on that. Let rugby be the winner. Thanks, mate. Naas Botha there. Still, as you've heard there, a very astute observer of the game. Gee, what a player he was. What a kicker he was. That display at Athletic Park on a pretty dodgy old day back in 1981. 20 points he kicked that day. Tries were worth 4 in those days, of course. South Africa winning 24-12. He kicked 20 of the points.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.